Hi everyone, this is Yana Smakula. Welcome back for another Yippee for Yana episode. In this video, I'll show you how to use masking paper and masking technique to add color to the backgrounds of your stamped images. So let's go ahead and get started. Here I have a panel of Nina Solar White 80-pound cardstock and a beautiful black-eyed Susan's stamp from Simon Says Stamp. I'm going to stamp this image onto white panel, ink blend the background, and then color the image to create beautiful daisies on a light blue background. While these are black-eyed Susans and these are certainly beautiful, I wanted to create daisies for my card because I'm just in the mood for daisies. I'm using Memento Tuxedo black ink and stamping this image twice onto Nina Solar White 80-pound cardstock using my Misty stamping tool. I also have a sheet of masking paper. This is Alt New masking paper. You can use any masking paper you might have in your stash. And I'm going to stamp the same image onto that sheet of masking paper. Next comes the most important and probably the most tedious part, cutting the mask out. You want to use a good pair of scissors. Here I'm using Spellbinder's detail scissors. You can also use scissors by Simon Says Stamp or Tim Holtz scissors, any kind of good pair of scissors that you're comfortable holding and cutting with for a prolonged period of time. You want to make sure to cut right on the edge. You might even cut a little bit into that black line. Make sure you're not stepping away from the black line, because if you do, you will end up having white gaps on your paper. Cutting this mask out does take time because this is a very detailed image, but it's very worth it in the end. And if you are careful, you can save the mask and use it a few times. Not a ton of times. I'm not going to say like you can use it indefinitely, but you will be able to use it several times for several cards. I ended up also using a craft knife, an Alt New craft knife, and a Simon Says Stamp Positively Perfect craft pads to do some additional cutting, as I wasn't able to use my scissors to get into the closed areas. It was easier to cut those out using a craft knife, and using a sharp craft knife is certainly very helpful. Using a craft knife also helps to separate the mask from the backer paper when you are adding it onto your image. So with the mask created, go ahead and carefully separate it from the backer and apply that onto your stamped panel. You want to be, again, very careful and very precise. Make sure that the mask matches with your image perfectly and you don't have any black or white gaps on your image. Otherwise, you will end up having non-blended areas on your finished card. So now that the most difficult part is behind us, we have our image, we have our mask applied onto the image, we can use inks to add color to the background. Like I said, I wanted to have a light blue background, and here I'm using Simon Says Stamp Positively Saturated inks. I have Dew, this is my lightest blue, and I'm also using Mist, this is my darkest blue. I want to have a little bit of a gradient with the darker ink at the bottom of the panel and the lighter ink or the blue fading almost into white, but not quite, at the top of the panel. I'm using a large blending brush from Simon Says Stamp, and I'm being very generous with my ink, applying that over the image. Because the mask is adhered onto the panel, the mask has adhesive on it, I can be sure that I'm not going to add any ink where I'm not supposed to, because the mask grips onto the panel nicely. So I can be confident with my ink blending. When you do the ink blending, it's going to look splotchy and uneven at first, but be sure to let it dry and the ink will even out and will look beautiful in the end. If you have time, you can ink blend the panel, set it aside, come back to it, maybe in like half an hour or an hour, and see if you like it without removing the mask, So just let it sit, let the ink sit for a little bit before you remove the mask to see if you like how the background looks. And if you don't, you can always come back and add more ink to create a more saturated or a darker panel, or add ink where you have some splotchy or uneven areas. I was pretty happy with my background, so once my ink blending was done, I removed the mask. Again, I was very careful when removing the mask because I wanted to save it. I adhered my mask onto my stamp sheet, onto the stamp carrier sheet, and this way I will be able to reuse it again in the future. Maybe I'll make another card, but with a different color background. I'm not sure yet, so we will see. It does help to use your craft knife once again to help pick up those little delicate areas of the mask. You could also add some stamping onto your background. I decided not to do that for this card, but with the mask on and with the ink blending done, you certainly can add additional stamping onto the background to add more interest. With the background created, we can now go ahead and start coloring. I'm going to use Copic markers. I did use Memento Tuxedo Black ink, which is alcohol marker friendly ink, because I want to color this image using Copic markers. I'm going to use a stippling technique for the flower centers. To color the flower centers, I'm simply dotting the color using different shades of markers. So I have 4 shades of yellow here. I started with the lightest color. It was Y11. I then used Y15, Y19, and finally using my darkest color, YR14. When you add the dots instead of applying a solid layer of color to the flower center, it ends up looking a lot more realistic, a lot more dimensional, and just gives you a better finished result. You can go back to the lighter colors and add more if needed, or go back to the darkest color and intensify the shadows. I will say that it helps to preserve a little area in the center or off center, preserve an area of white as a natural highlight. Next, we're going to color the petals. Even though the petals on my flowers are white, I am going to add some shading to help them stand out. White is never really white. There are highlighted and shaded areas on any white surface. So using a gray marker, here I'm using a C3 and we'll also use this C1, helps to add shadows and little folds in the petals and little details, and that helps the petals look realistic. So I'm adding those shadows at the base of the petals, and you will later see me coming back with a marker and adding little folds at the tips of the petals. Daisies are actually super easy to color because you just need to color the flower centers and add a tiny bit of shading to the petals. Now the leaves here are not exactly true daisy leaves. These are a different flower leaves, but that's okay. We're not going to be very particular when it comes to coloring or stamping the correct kind of leaf for the image. So to color the leaves, I'm using my go-to green Copic markers, and here I'm applying a flick stroke technique. I featured that technique in my previous video. I'm basically using 3 colors, a light, a medium, and a dark. This is YG67, also using YG17 and YG03, and I'm flicking the color onto the image rather than doing a circular motion blend. So I'm not saturating the entire area of the leaf. I'm rather flicking the color, coloring it from the base and from the tip into the center. And the center is where I want to have a little bit of a white preserved so that there is a highlight. I've zoomed in here quite a bit so you can get a better idea of the coloring. I'm holding my marker gently with my fingers and I'm adding little strokes, little flicks with my marker, applying the darkest color here first. Next, using the YG17, coming back and extending the flicks, also adding some extra color where the leaves overlap and where I think I will have a shadow casted from the leaf above or from the leaf in front of the leaf that I'm coloring. Adding more flicks here to extend that darker green. Adding flicks from the other side of the leaf that overlaps the leaf that I'm coloring. And finally, using the lighter color to connect the 2 areas together. Now, I do have some sections on my image where I did not cut my mask correctly. And if you look really close, you can kind of see that I have some white areas where there's no background color and also where there's no Copic marker color. Those areas are very close to the leaves and to the stems. To fix that, I'm just going to use my green marker and gently go outside the line, outside the edge of my leaf, and apply a tiny bit of green to meet with the background blue. Had I had a white background, this would have been very noticeable, but since my background has color, going outside the edge of my image does not show. In fact, it helps to fix the blending or the masking mistake here. So keep this trick in mind if you do use this technique. And here I'm using a C3 marker and I'm adding little folds in the flower petals. I'm adding little strokes from the tips of the petals. This helps to add a little bit of realism and a tiny bit of detail to my flowers. The coloring looks fabulous, the background looks amazing, but I feel like this image is missing some shading. So here I'm using a C5 marker and I'm adding a little tiny line that represents a shadow for the leaves and for the flowers. I'm trying to be careful and be mindful of how and where I add the shadows, although later I realized that I messed up a little bit. Here I started to add the shadow from the right-hand side, but on the left side of the image, I started to add the shadow from the left-hand side. So it's a little bit inaccurate, but still it adds detail and it makes this image stand out from the background a little bit better. So I'm using a C5 Copic marker and I'm adding a shadow line under each image, under the leaves, to the left or to the right of the flower stems, and also under the petals. You can clearly see the difference now, and the shadow helps this image come off of the background. It separates it from the background. I'm also using a Sakura Jelly Roll pen. This is a 0.5 size. I'm adding just a couple of white dots to the flower centers. Next, I want to trim this background down slightly. In fact, I want this to measure 3 3/4 by 5 inches because I want to have a rather large white border on my card. So I trimmed this to size using my paper trimmer. Next, I added a scrap panel from the back of my color panel to help add stability and sturdiness. And I used double-sided foam adhesive tape from Alt New to add dimension to my panel. So I foam mounted this onto an A2 top folding card base. Lastly, I added a sentiment strip. I've been loving these lately. These are by Kathy Zilski. And they come from the Everyday Easy Strips set. And I cut those out using the Easy Strips rectangle dies. Super easy to use. Lastly, I'm using Aura sequins from Spellbinders to embellish my card. I'm adding just a handful, a couple of sequins here and there, creating that visual triangle around my flowers, and that finishes my card. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you will give this masking idea a try. It's been such a long time since I did masking, but going back to this fabulous technique allowed me to create a beautiful, almost one-layer card. I mean, I know this is not a one layer because I love to add dimension, but you definitely can create a one-layer card if you are into that type of projects. Thanks so much for joining me today. Love you guys, and I'll see you again next time.